The Book of Boba Fett is Disney's latest addition to the Star Wars franchise. I'm not a die-hard fan of the character like some others, but he is one of my favorite characters to play in LEGO Star Wars. And with the success of The Mandalorian, there sure was a lot of potential for them to take this show and this character in whatever direction they wanted. But the Book of Boba Fett went through an identity crisis, and the final result was something very lackluster. So today, I want to talk about why Boba Fett doesn't work and what that means for the future of the show and Star Wars in general. Also, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video and want to see more like it. And obviously, spoilers for Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett follows, believe it or not, Boba Fett, as he tries to take over Jabba the Hutt's old territory on Tatooine and protect it from the invading criminal underworld. To start, I think it's important to ask why this show exists in the first place. Boba Fett is a fan-favorite character since his appearance in The Empire Strikes Back, so it makes perfect sense to bring him back, right? Well, I'm not entirely sure about that. The reason so many people liked Boba Fett in the original trilogy is that he was a cool, mysterious bounty hunter. We didn't know anything about him other than he is ruthless, stoic, and he had a kick-ass suit. But that was 40 years ago, and Star Wars has changed a lot since then. The biggest thing that's different now is we've been introduced to a new character who just so happens to be a cool, mysterious, stoic bounty hunter with an awesome suit. The Mandalorian. Din Djarin is everything audiences loved about Boba, but maybe even more so now because we've spent so much more time with him in his own show and seen his character develop in such interesting ways. So by giving Boba Fett his own show directly following the events of The Mandalorian, they put themselves in a situation where they have to change the character from his original version so that he can function as the main character of a TV show, and also so he isn't just a copy and paste of Din Djarin. This is where the biggest problem with this show comes in. Boba Fett is somehow the least interesting character in his own series. He's given some interesting backstory where he lives with the Tusken Raiders, but after they are all killed, he becomes a completely different character than he was before, one that lacks everything people liked about him in the first place. All he does in this show is walk around town trying to get people to respect him as the new daimyo, but no one cares because he's just some guy that showed up out of nowhere. He doesn't have any personality, and he doesn't go through any meaningful development by the end of the show. I'm not trying to say that I don't think it's possible to bring Boba Fett back as an anti-hero and do something different with the character, but I just find it hard to believe that he goes from being the most ruthless man in the galaxy, willing to work for the Empire and freeze Han Solo and Carbonite, to a guy that has somehow developed a heart of gold and only cares about protecting the people of the city. They want us to believe that Boba's experiences with the Tuskens are enough to cause this complete 180 in his character progression, but this change takes everything interesting away from the character, so it doesn't even really matter if it's believable or not. It also doesn't help that the rest of the characters surrounding Boba are just as flat and lifeless. In fact, the only characters in this show that I even enjoyed watching were all the ones returning from The Mandalorian. The last 3 episodes are basically just 3 Mandalorian episodes, with Boba not even being in 5 or 6 for more than a couple minutes. And it just so happens that those are the 2 best episodes. This show has fairly good action sequences, but almost all of them are because of Mando, like this awesome brawl in the warehouse. It is cool when Boba is riding the Rancor around and he and Mando are teaming up in the finale, but the fact that they had to shoehorn basically half a Mandalorian season into this show proves that Disney had no faith in the Book of Boba Fett being able to stand on its own. The worst part is that this isn't only going to hurt Boba Fett, it's going to be bad for the next season of The Mandalorian as well. Like I said before, episodes 5 and 6 are pretty great Mandalorian episodes, but the fact that they've stuck it into this show instead of starting season 3 that way makes it feel quite rushed, and I'm sure many fans won't appreciate this. I am very interested to see what they do next in Season 3, but the way they handled the characters in this show has me worried about Disney's plans. I won't spend too much time talking about this, but I also hate the CGI Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian and in this. The technology is obviously very impressive, but they should really just hire a real actor already. I mean, Sebastian Stan is right there, come on. I think most fans would just appreciate them hiring a new actor over this PlayStation render that talks like Mark Zuckerberg.
Are you a Jedi? New face filters on Instagram today.
So those are most of the extremely negative things I have to say about this show. Everything else is just pretty mediocre. Cad Bane showing up as the villain was a fun addition, but he should have been in the show from the second episode at the very least, to build him up more and to have more conflict. I'm not quite sure how I feel about what they did with Cobb Vanth, but I'm hopeful they'll do something with him in the future because he has a lot of potential. Mando v Movies actually put out a really good video about Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett, and I'd recommend checking that out if you're interested. I'm also not a big fan of the direction or the visuals. Having the entire show take place on Tatooine is not doing it any favors because everything is the exact same color. Looking specifically at the train hijacking scene, it is one of the blandest looking scenes in all of Star Wars. There is a lot of room in this universe to go wild and embrace the otherworldly visuals and costume designs, so I wish they would have done that at least a little bit. The one thing I do really like about this show is the music, but it is a Star Wars project, so that pretty much goes without saying at this point. Overall, I would say this show was extremely disappointing and misguided, and I really hope they don't try to make another season of it. It doesn't know what it wants to be, which leads to a jumbled mess of bland characters with a horribly paced story. I would give Season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett a 3 out of 10, and I hope when Disney puts out more of these Star Wars series like Obi-Wan, they go in with a clear direction in mind and a better understanding of what people want from these kind of stories. So that's all I've got for this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Boba Fett and if there's any other movies or TV you want to see me cover on this channel. But other than that, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.